Joining us now tonight is the president of the Nigeria Squash Federation, Mr. Boye Oyerinde. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on the show. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. And I'm sure you must be particularly delighted with Onaopemipo's historic feat.
Oh, absolutely. Nice to meet you guys. Yes, we are quite delighted about that. And good thing for us also is that it's not just Onaopemipo who's making us proud right now. In the last 2 weeks, we have had wins by Gabriel Olufumilaya, who also I think got to the semifinals of the BDO in Namibia. We have Kendi Samuel, who also won a challenger tour. A closed satellite tour in Victoria, Vancouver last week as well. So we're quite delighted. And then we also have the male and female teams winning the gold medals at the Squash Federation of African Championship that just held last week in Namibia. So it's been a win-win for our guys, and we're quite excited about it.
Well, President, I need to ask you this question. There's a belief by a lot of people that squash is an elitist sport. I mean, you can only find squash facilities in, country clubs and gentlemen clubs. That it's not the kind of sport you can find on the street corner. How do you plan to change this narrative and also to pretty much take the sport to the grassroots?
Well, you can understand why everybody feels squash is an elitist sport, in the sense that a very good squash racket will cost you anything between $100 and $200. And if we look at that with the new conversion we have today, $200 is going to be about 340,000 naira. And you could get that racket, go into the squash court and hit it against the wall and it's broken. So you
just like that.
So you know what? But in saying that though, there are squash facilities that are coming up now. If you look at Teslim Balogun Stadium, which is a public facility for Lagos State, and a lot of the clubs are also opening their doors to, especially the professionals, to play on their courts. We also have the military also giving us access to some of their facilities to play. If you go to Abuja, the squash courts at the Abuja National Stadium is also very functional. So we need to change the myth. I agree, but it's not as elitist as people think. Squash is being played by everybody across the world. And for us, it's good that you mentioned grassroots. We've tried to encourage the playing of the game of squash by also giving squash rackets to some of these facilities, so that those who do not have the kits can just come in, use the rackets to play and to learn and then to enjoy the game.
All right, Mr. Oyerinde, I think right now a lot of people want to know, how did we get to where we are, having someone like Onaopemipo achieve what he has achieved? What have been the challenges that you've gone through to help put some of these athletes on the map today?
It's been a tough one, but it's also been quite interesting. Prior to my becoming this president of Nigeria Squash Federation, I was the tournament director for Lagos State Squash Association. And then years back, I'm talking 2013, 2014, Lagos State used to run $40,000 tournaments, $25,000 for the men and $15,000 for the women. And what used to happen then was our players all lose out in the qualifying rounds. We hardly get our players in the main draw. So at the end of the day, we were just putting up a show. However, when I became the president, it became clearer. We needed to develop our players. We needed to get them to be able to participate at the level at which they're doing now. So we went back to the very basics, doing the closed satellite, which is the entry-level tournaments. The prize monies were smaller, very discouraging for foreigners. And it meant that our players ended up spending more time on court playing. We had more competitions, and you can see the results today. The players are better. We've also had a few training programs for them, and this has helped them get into where they are today. Our top 3 players especially are doing fantastic. and we have a team of young ones coming up. It's quite fun.
Well, Mr. Oyerinde, I have to ask you this question. The World Team Squash Championship starting pretty much in a few days. What would represent success for you in terms of Nigeria's participation at that particular tournament? And finally, to pretty much round it off, we also have to look at what is your medium to long-term plan for squash in Nigeria, given that you're not going to be president forever?
Well, okay, I take the first one. In 2019, yes, I just try to remember that. I remember we went for the World Team Championship in Washington, D.C. And that was 20 years after Nigeria last went for such a tournament. And out of 23 countries, I think we came 21. And due to a myriad of challenges. One, we couldn't get visas for the same Onaopemipo you're seeing today, and Gabriel Olufunlayo, who's more or less our current national number one. So we couldn't get visas for them. We had to play with 2 players and 2 coaches. By the time the player got there, he was jet lagged. He got in on Sunday and had to play a former world number 1 on Monday. And so you can imagine what the outcome was. And then this is, last year, we were also able to go to New Zealand, and we did better because the last time we were 21, last year we came 15th. So this year we're hoping and we're working towards the top 10. However, we have more countries in this particular championship. I think last year we had about 20 countries. This year, I think from the records, we have about 36 countries. So for us, if we can hit the top 10 or at least not drop below the 15, it would be fantastic for us.
But the second question, your medium to long-term projections or plans for squash in Nigeria?
Let's look at it this way. You can say I am the outgoing president of Nigerian Squash Federation because I'm about to round up in the next 1 year my second term. And I would just hope that the next board, and working closely with them if permitted, would build on the foundation we have laid. Right now, I think we need to pay a lot more attention to the juniors. We have some fantastic junior players coming up, both male and female. We also need to pay attention to the ladies. I think the men have had it better than the ladies in the last few years because we have very few women playing the game today. So I'm hoping that, one, we can develop our female players, our junior players. And by the way, for the first time, Nigeria got a slot at the British Junior Open coming up in January.
Okay. For
one of our referees, Mrs. Salome Yeli. She'll be officiating at the British Junior Open coming up in the UK next month, which is fantastic for us. I mean, it's a welcome development. We've trained, and now we have an opportunity to take someone out there on the global scene. So that will be my dream, that they really build on the foundation that we have laid so far.
Okay, we've been speaking with Mr. Boye Oyerinde, the president of the Nigerian Squash Federation. Thank you so much for your time, sir. It's been an absolute pleasure getting you on the show. A few hit and misses, but the wait was absolutely worth it, I can tell you. Thank you so much for your time, sir. And all the best to the Nigerian team in Hong Kong.